Hey, what's up, everybody? It's that guy, Skimpy, and this is Tackle Talk with Skimp, where I'm going to be interviewing a bunch of different bait makers, whether they pour jigs or pour plastics or make swim baits or airbrush or modify molds or even making molds. Anything that has to do with bait making and tackle, I want to talk about it. So let's go. Oh my God! Look at it. Dinko mold. This is the 5-inch one. All right, we're just going to jump right into it. I got question number one. What is your name and where are you from?
My name is John Marino. I'm the owner of West Coast Baits. I'm from Southern California. And all the baits that we make are pretty much from our style here in our Southern California lakes.
Awesome. Question number two is where can we find you? Like what social media platforms, and do you have a website?
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and our website is westcoastbaits.net.
Awesome. Question number three is how long have you been bass fishing?
Man, I've probably been fishing since I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And always been super competitive with all my family and everything. My whole family always fished all their lives on both sides of the family. And probably by about 16 is when I got really hard to throwing the big baits.
Okay.
And my whole life just changed from there.
All right. So I got question number four. It's would you rather fish for largemouth or smallmouth bass? And bonus question is what is your PB?
Yeah, so definitely largemouth. I love smallmouth. We haven't started getting smallmouth until, I don't know, maybe the past 5, 6 years. They came up in Castaic out of nowhere.
Oh.
But yeah, but largemouth, I mean, that's definitely been our main passion.
Yep. So what is your PB? Largemouth.
Yeah, my PB is an 11.6.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So that was, let's see, it's out of here. That was back in the heyday of Lake Casitas. Let's see, you guys can see this here.
Oh,
pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the thing was a giant, man.
Oh man.
And it's funny because like that fish, I didn't think it was that big until I tried lifting it up out of the net.
Yeah.
It's like, that it was just shorter but much fatter. And then my first ever swim bait fish that was ever landed was actually an 11.1. And I broke my PB twice that day, so I caught like a 5-pounder on a fluke. And I was like looking at my dad, I'm like, hey, check this out. This is like the biggest bass I ever caught. And he's looking at me, he's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I'm like, take a picture of it, So then we floated around, and then, then that's when I went to one spot. I just started dead sticking the swim bait out there. And I'm eating the sandwich, and I'm not really paying too much attention. And the bait's just out there. And then I just got bit and then swing and then just never stopped reeling, cranked them up into the net, and it was 11.1. And the scream we let out, like the whole lake heard us.
I bet.
I mean? Yeah, but that was like, I was 16 at that time. And after that, that was it, man. That's just big baits ever since.
Always, yep. Question number 5 is what got you started making your own baits?
I think mainly when we were fishing tournaments back in the day, we was trying to get a little more competitive. I think we were just making stuff just for ourselves. Okay. You know what I mean? And that was the main thing, just not being able to find the kind of stuff that we were looking for or something that fit our style.
Right.
Very much. But the main thing that I started making was, that created West Coast Baits was the swim bait, the Roma trout. And I actually designed this bait for my son to fish.
Okay.
So like one of the first ever swim bait bites I ever had, I was fishing some trees, and I was worried about losing my dad's swim bait because the stuff was expensive at the time. You know what I mean? Like they just came out. It was like, what was that, 06, 07? And they were really, really hard to get. And then I was filling a snag, fill it, release, filling a snag, fill it, release. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose this bait. You know what I mean? And it's the only one we got. And then I fill a snag, and I'm like, damn. And then I reel up into it, and then it just starts jumping. And I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm trying to grind them in, and I'm fighting with them. And that was definitely a teener. And I ended up dumping them at the boat. You know what I mean? Man. So just like having that thought of like losing a bait in particular, I seen my son starting to go through that, so I didn't want him to kind of feel that way.
Right.
So then I ended up making this bait just kind of for it to be super easy for him to fish, and he started catching fish on it. And then I started throwing it, and I was like, this is pretty serious, you know, definitely a serious bait, but it's super weedless and it just fish is awesome. Yeah, I even took my wife fishing. She got her first swim bait fish last week ago
Awesome.
on it. And she didn't know how to throw a bait caster. It was like her third cast on a bait caster, so it was pretty cool. But it's really easy to fish. That's the cool thing about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Question number 6 is what is your favorite bait to make? And kind of a bonus question, what is your favorite color to make?
Yeah. I mean, man, let's see if I got one here actually. This one's one of my favorites for sure.
Okay.
Is
Yep.
this is our rainbow trout color. So, making these things, man, it just like different level when you start getting into the whole painting and all that. To make a batch of these things, I probably put over 40 hours of work in them just to get them where they're at. But it's a really, really sick bait. I mean, this one is probably my most favorite one to do.
Okay.
But the runner up would have to be this one, the ghost trout. This color just
That
gets
looks awesome.
smashed, man. This one's pretty beat up looking. It's definitely seen its days, but the ghost trout is one of my most favorites too, as far as the standard colors.
Okay. So on the opposite side, question number 7 is what bait and color is kind of a pain in the butt to make? Like which ones do you hate making?
Man, my least favorite, I kind of like making all baits, but I'd say that the hardest ones is probably like the tiny little hand pourers.
Yep.
Growing up, we used to fish a bunch of like old school reapers,
Yep.
like little 3-inch reapers on a split shot and drag them in the back of the boat. And those are kind of a pain to make. They're so small, and you just gotta hand pour them.
That hand
Yeah,
pouring definitely takes a big skill, man, because you got to have a
yeah,
steady hand, man.
yeah. I got one of these molds here. Oh yeah, it's right here actually. This is my first ever mold I ever bought. Got it at a tackle swap meet for like $1. This is actually what got me started into making baits.
Nice.
But yeah, this thing's really old. This thing's probably almost 20 years old. But this was a sick bait, man. We won a lot of tournaments off of this thing.
The Reaper style baits, man, they've always came in clutch, man.
They really did. Yeah.
All right. Question number 8. What is some good advice for somebody just getting into making baits?
Man, I'd say the most important thing is just make stuff for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like don't try chasing trends or try making stuff that you're not really familiar about, or just get out there and just make baits that you want to fish for yourself, and you don't even care what happens.
Absolutely.
And then don't be afraid to fail. You're gonna definitely mess a bunch of materials up and definitely mess up a bunch of molds. Like I can't tell you how many molds I went through to get the final version of this one, because like the first 5 versions it didn't swim right, need to be tweaked, and it was just a lot of work to kind of get it where it is today, for sure.
So when you originally made that one, was it out of clay? Was it did you wood carve it?
Yeah, so basically I just made like a kind of a rough version out of clay,
Hmm.
and it looked like something that a 5-year-old would have made. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I tried the best I could have did it to get it as good as I can, and you can kind of sanded it down and try to get it, just like a fish shape basically.
Yeah.
And the most important thing actually was mainly the tail design, getting that thing down. And just I've been fishing swim baits for so long that I just kind of knew that, okay, this type of tail, like this type of wedge tail, this is a pretty fat wedge tail actually
Yeah.
compared to a lot of other baits, and it's got a massive thump to it. You know what I mean? So I knew that this was the ticket, and that's what got the rough looking bait to swim good. So like, okay, this thing definitely needs to be redesigned. And a buddy of mine does like 3D printing and stuff, and
Oh,
he's real good at
nice.
the computer with it, and kind of was able to like finish it off into the final deal. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 9. Is there anything special you've been working on? And can we see some of the baits? I know you already sold some, but we'll take another look.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Play what I got here. I haven't shown this one to anybody, but this This is a fresh prototype. This is an 8-inch Roma trout boot tail version,
Nice.
and it's something that we've been working on. And I drew this out a few times, just still working on a few fine details to it. But this thing's got a wide thump. It dumps really wide, so this one's going to be pretty exciting for sure. And then I've actually just got some of my dead stick baits dialed in. They're just your traditional stick baits. It's something that I always drew, but just kind of starting to make the bigger stuff.
Yeah,
The 7-inch and the 10-inch versions. It's a great follow-up bait whenever you're throwing swim baits and stuff like that.
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more question for you.
Hmm.
If you can fish with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Man, um, that'd have to be probably Butch Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I've had like sometimes out on the lake, like came up to one spot once before, throwing a swim bait, and I'm just like the knees are shaking on every follower that I'm getting. I'm like, oh my god, look at that fish! Oh my god! And then Butch comes up right kind of behind our boat, basically. He's fishing like the same general area, and I see him make a cast, and then boom, he sticks one. And I turn around and I hear him. He gets the fish. What's up? The camera. Check that one out, doctor. And I'm like, oh wow, that's a giant. That's like a teener. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Then, I look away, he makes another cast, boom, catches another one, another double digit. He stuck like 3 of them in a row.
man.
It was unreal, man. It was such a sight to see. Definitely an amazing thing to see him in action like that. So
Yeah.
definitely one of the goats, man, for sure.
All right. Well, hey, that's all the questions I have for you. Do you have anything you want to add? Do you have any shout outs, anything?
Yeah, for sure. As far as bait making, definitely a huge shout out to 8-bit baits to check them out for everything that they got.
Yeah.
All their pigment powders or everything are awesome. And just a huge shout out to all the fishing community and the swim bait community that kind of got us help us going to where we are today. Everyone on Swim Bait Underground and everything. It's like just started out as a bait. We're just making out of the garage and a few friends trying it, and then some hype going on the forums and people wanting to try it out, and then they're catching fish, and then here we are. You know what I mean? Now we're available online and on Tackle Warehouse, and it's pretty awesome. Definitely been an awesome ride, man, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on and talking with me. Everybody watching, I appreciate you guys watching, and that's the show.
Yeah, I
Cut.
appreciate it.